can't get a breath for everybody. Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening for our Village of Alsip. We're going to have a short board meeting first, and then we'll follow by a committee meeting. We'll call this meeting in order at 7:33. Can we call the roll, please?
Sure. Trustee McGreal? Here. Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zielinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so to start the meeting, we're going to start with a special village board meeting. As far as officers' reports goes, I have no report at this time. Clerk Petzel?
No report, Mayor Ryan.
And we don't have an attorney this evening, so there's no report from him as well. Public forum, anyone from the audience wish to address the board this evening on our special agenda? No one? All right, thank you. Standing committee reports. The Planning and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zielinski.
Yes, Mayor, I have one action item. It's a motion to approve the ordinance of the Village of Alsip rezoning the property located at 4749 Orchard View Court from R3 Residential Multifamily District to R1 Residential Single Family District.
That's your motion, sir?
That is the motion, yes.
Okay, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Roll call number 1 to approve an ordinance of the Village of Alsip rezoning the property located at 4749 Orchard View Court from R3 Residential Multifamily District to R1 Residential Single Family District. Trustee McGreal?
Abstain.
Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Zielinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Trustee Murphy?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
The ordinance will now be known as ordinance number 2018-08-7.
Trustees, any presentations, petitions, or communications? Any unfinished business?
No.
Any new business?
No.
None? Can I get a motion to adjourn the special board meeting at this time?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That'll conclude the special village board meeting at this time. We'll adjourn that at,
7:34 p.m.
there you go. Okay. So as a matter of record, we'll now call the village committee meeting. We'll now call the village committee meeting to attention at the, let's say, at the hour of 7:36.
Sure. Roll call once again.
Call this meeting in order. Yes.
Trustee McGreal?
Here.
Trustee Dalzell?
Here.
Trustee Zielinski?
Here.
Trustee Juarez?
Here.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Here.
Trustee Murphy?
Here.
Mayor Ryan?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I think it's necessary we do the pledge again. We covered that already today. So we'll start with officers' reports, starting with myself. Trustees, I want to remind everyone, as I have, this is obviously an annual conference taking place at the end of this month from next month, I apologize. September 20th through 22nd is the annual Illinois Municipal League 105th conference. This year's conference, again, everyone should have got this. First off, I just want to make sure, has everyone got this information from IML? Okay. Trustee Murphy, did you get some too?
I did.
Okay, thanks. Again, for the benefit of the public, just so you understand cost involved, this is similar cost just about every year. Attendance at the Illinois Municipal League Annual Conference is an investment in your city, village, or town, and we work hard to keep the event affordable by offering a IML member discount and no price increases, and actually the price has not increased since 2016, which is always nice to hear. Total conference package for members, which we are, so it's a 3-day conference, is $310. Non-conference members, it's $360. Should you decide to attend just one day, either Thursday or Friday or Saturday, that cost is $165 for members, $180 for non-members. There's also hotel reservations, stays and so forth. We have never included that because of our proximity to downtown Chicago, so I'm not going to discuss that unless anybody on the board would like to. But at this time, what I would like to do, and we do this every year just for a confirmation, is first, this conference is made available to all elected officials. In past years, we have made it available to department heads and or designated personnel too. Should a trustee feel somebody in a particular department should attend on a particular day or for all 3 days if it was consistent with their job description. I know I've spoke with our human resource manager who's under my direction, and there is one day that does identify with human resource aspect of our of the village as well as for her job, and she felt it prudent to attend just on Friday, I think, right, Sinead, we were looking at? Okay, so just be a one-day attendance for you, should the board agree to allow, the person, other personnel such as our HR manager to attend. Any questions on this? Anybody have any thoughts on this or anything? Anybody want to include anybody, or do you want to open it up to department heads? Are we okay with that? Because I'll certainly put it on I can put it on the agenda next week, just as like a resolution to say that we're all okay with, the elected officials and department heads are designate. That's the reason for the committee. I want to bring it up now, so just so we have this clear well before the time the conference comes.
Well, it is something we need to pre-register for, so.
That's what I'm saying. So, and actually, the idea, I'm sorry, too, it did say, I did get a memo just reminding us that you want to pre-register prior to September 7th. That was the reason I was bringing this up. That this way we save on money, we're not paying, because otherwise it goes up $50 per person to do. So should you decide you want to go, register before September 7th. Otherwise, we incur an extra $50 per person. But I'll put it on the agenda next week just for approval by the board to say exactly what I just did. Next, I had on here a request for permission to have the council solicit funds for the annual statewide Knights of Columbus Intellectual Disabilities Drive, better known as the Tootsie Roll Drive, on September 21st through 22nd on the corners of 111th and Cicero. This was actually requested to my office, and I actually have my assistant, Becky Smith, put this on the agenda. Becky, is that, when they say 111th and Cicero, we kind of share that corner with Oak Lawn, but are they saying they're going to be on the Alsip side of the street? Is that the whole idea? Yes. Yeah. Okay. So certainly I can put this on for approval next week, but any questions from anybody on the board about that?
In the past, when we've done things like this, we've made sure that they have the required insurance.
Right.
And I'm not certain what our intergovernmental agreement is with the Village of Oak Lawn. I know that they respond to the accidents at that location.
I was going to say there is no part of the Alsip side of the intersection. So
We got that through when we saw what happened with the red light camera on the south side of the street that actually is monitoring, because actually Oak Lawn's got that. That's all Oak Lawn's intersection then.
correct.
Is what it is. Okay.
Northbound to Chicago, they're northbound at 111th.
That's why I just thought that if they were working our side of the street, like on northbound traffic, that's still not considered us?
No.
No.
Okay.
So
I thought it
think-
did. I would think right in front of the Lone Star right there, that's not us?
Oh, Chicago on the east side,
Okay.
go northbound.
I'm just wondering if this is better directed to the Village of Oak Lawn rather than us.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I just, like I said, I guess they were just maybe covering their corners, and that's all we're doing is covering ourselves, too. Okay, so I'll let it go at that we're going to say that's all Oak Lawn's intersection then, and just divert that. Not a problem. Like I said, I felt the north side was more so us. If you had an accident on that, like that northwest corner, that's still not us. Okay.
Southwest.
Southwest.
I apologize, southwest corner, right.
Southwest.
All right, that's all I had for this evening. Clerk Petzel?
Thank you, Mayor. Presentation and approval of the August 13th, 2018 committee meeting minutes. And as a reminder, Village Hall will be closed next week, Monday, September 3rd, in observance of Labor Day. Village Hall will reopen from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Tuesday, September 4th, and therefore the board meeting next week will also be held on Tuesday, September 4th at 7:30 p.m. That is all, Mayor Ryan.
Okay. Thank you. Public forum again. Should anybody wish to speak to anything on the agenda this evening? Nobody? All right. Standing committee reports then. We'll go with Finance Committee, Trustee McLaurin.
Under Finance, I will have the usual request for approval of payroll and accounts payable. That's all, Mayor.
All right. And then Trustee McLaurin, the fire report.
Under Fire, I will have the presentation of the monthly activity report for July 2018. I also have a request for both the chief and the deputy chief to attend the Metro Fire Chiefs Association Fall Symposium Incident Response to Terrorist Bombing, which will be held on September 6th, 2018 at a total cost of $70. It's combined, right? Okay. And also, the chief would like to give us an update on the new ambulance.
All right, last week the ambulance was delivered from Florida to Fire Services in St. John, Indiana. That's who our vendor is. This week is being sent out for striping and lettering. When that comes back, we'll go there, do one more final inspection on it. Then we take delivery of it. And then within a month, it should be in service by the time we install the radios, a Knox box equipment, all of our equipment, and then it has to get inspected by Illinois Department of Public Health. So we're hoping about the middle of September it'll be in service, and we'll have 3 ambulances back up again, which is much needed.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Chief.
Right, and then also under Fire, while going through the bills for this evening, we have a bill here for the annual Caltron software license renewal. And I'm a bit confused because the renewal period is 9/1 of 2018 through 9/1 of 2019, which does not coincide with our contract dates.
No, whenever they started the licensing software, whenever it was signed, it's been annual ever since then. And again, I wasn't part of it when all that came about, so we've been paying it every year at the same time because it always came out of the 911 funds before.
Because the primary question is are there options besides annual?
What do you mean?
Is there potentially a quarterly that can be paid, or?
I can find out.
Because again, we know Caltron is up, the contract is up this fall.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point in time, the board has not made a definitive decision to renew that contract. So the last thing I want to be doing is paying for a full year of software licensing for something that we may not have for that length of time.
I can find out from the owner of Cross Points if we can do it in a quarter.
Okay. That's all I have under.
Okay. You know, I had a couple of things, too. Chief, this just came to my desk today, as a matter of fact. Last week, I had a business over on Kelsag Road that didn't have, the business has been empty, I think, for a couple of years, probably since 2015. They now have a buyer for the property, and I've met with the buyers, and they're actually going to be putting a great business in this property yet too. But they just got when they went to put their loan, all their paperwork together, they had a municipal lien against the property, and found out that it was because of a citation and fine levied against them by regarding a Caltron cost, for the alarm system. So I asked last week, and I got it today. I wanted a quick history on payments, just to see where their payment history was at on this, because nobody's been in this business. I confirmed with building department this afternoon that nobody's been in there since like 2015.
Is that the old Verizon store?
Yeah.
It's probably because it went to collections, and they never responded to collections.
Okay.
That was
Well,
one of the ones that, I don't remember how many we had going back to collections in 2016.
take a quick look at this, Chief. See if this looks accurate to you, because this is what I got today from Crosspoints, I'm guessing. But it looks like there hasn't been a payment made on that in 6 years.
I would
not doubt
that. A lot of the ones that went to collections, they never paid on it.
Okay, all right. And thanks, Chief. And that's, I had a quick conversation with Trustee McLaughlin just, I don't know, a couple hours ago. And I tell you, that's, regardless of how we stand, financially, I know this isn't a windfall. I remember you saying back when there was a lot of people in arrears like this yet too.
Correct.
But I guess I've always been of the position that I hate being, I hate the idea of a contractor that does the billing and the collecting, and then we just sit and wait for whatever whatever our end is. And at the same time, and when you get inconsistencies like this, because the last page I got on here is like us, or let's put it this way, no, this is Crosspoints, I apologize. Because these buildings are being billed every quarter, so you're only getting 4 bills a year, for service. But here's a bill for all of 2017 and almost all of 18, depending on where we're at now. And it looks like they only owe us $1,300, but they owe us a lot more than that, because this goes back prior to, the last payment they made was back in February 2012. There's no way I can collect a 6-year-old bill.
No, and this goes back to the 3 or 4 or 5 years, whatever it was, that nobody was taking care of it before we took it back over again.
Right.
And it sat dormant. They were getting stuff here at the village, and I have an idea where it went to. Nothing was being taken care of, and that's why we decided to take it over again, because of the ongoing issues with the bills and stacking up. And it's also why we passed a couple different ordinances, try to collect what is owed of us. And that's why we went back to anything that was up to 2016 would go to collections, because it was so far back, including when we used to monitor alarms for Crestwood, when we used to dispatch for Crestwood. Those will never recoup. So again, we were down almost $200,000 at one time, and we finally brought it up. How much we're ever going to collect in collections, I have no idea, because again, a lot of those businesses don't even exist anymore. Not only that, there's a lot of existing businesses right now that have never paid for it that would probably put them out of business.
Well, again, we will never sit here and make excuses for ourselves. This certainly predates myself, maybe you too, I'm not sure. But I wasn't in this position like I am now to be responsible for collections and so forth then too, which I'm still kind of not, because, the Crosspoints is doing the collecting, right?
Correct.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm just sitting here like I'm seeing a flaw that I really can't fix on my own.
Right.
And, when enough of these flaws add up, at the end of the day, the taxpayers get hurt because we're not collecting as what we're due. So much, I understand, and we've had this conversation a handful of times too, I understand the value of the Caltron alarm system, but at the same time, you could take maybe, and I'm just looking at maybe a half a dozen folks that are like here. These are pretty long too, that have never made payments, and there's a couple of organizations too that are pretty sizable ones yet too. I'm not going to name names, but they haven't made payments, and nothing's been done about it. While most of the 850 good businesses we got, they are making their payments and stuff. So at the end of the day, like I said, this is still a board decision. The board decides policy. The board decides expenditures. But I don't know that it's, again, we're the only village of that's being dispatched out of Oak Lawn right now, those 6 towns that they're doing, that actually mandate this Caltron system, I just soon get away from it. You know, it's not, I understand the benefit and everything, but it seems like this is more work than it's worth, and I think some folks are really being cheated by it. You know, I mean, I just want to keep it fair for everybody and so forth, you know, I mean, I know, Chief, the rule is they have to have an alarm system in every building in town, correct?
Correct.
Right, so,
All right, and at one time, yes, it was a lot of work because we were behind trying to catch up. Since we put some things into place, it's not a huge burden on us to monitor what's going on, because when the bills go out, we do look at who owes us what, and every cycle, if they are behind 2 cycles, we do issue a municipal citation with them also. So we've gotten a lot more compliance because of that as well. And then when we lowered the price from 80 down to 65, we are more competitive. Yes, people are going to balk because they don't have the choice. We kind of make the choice for them. But it's also in their best interest. I mean, I hate to say it that way. It's in their best interest because
Absolutely.
now we're providing something that's immediate compared to a third party calling from God knows whatever state in the United States with the delay, which we've seen. And it actually almost costs a business owner a business because of that.
you would think on top of, let's put it this way, even somebody like this, where here you're 6 years in arrears, and every year we do an annual inspection on all the properties and so forth, but you and I have had this discussion that the inspector, fire inspector, is not identifying with the debt, any debt owed, and that kind of thing yet too, which kind of just, again, because we're not invoicing and we're not collecting, makes us look irresponsible, and we're certainly not that, you know. And where I'm sitting here now looking at this, and somebody sends me some information that they were somewhat oblivious to, even after 6 years of this and stuff then too, where it just shows up on a credit report, let's say. I want to take action on this matter and identify with it, and that's all I'm saying to, like, the committee and the board. We need to make a decision what we're going to do with this, because this contract comes up for renewal November 26th of this year, and we have to give more than 30 days notice if we decide to discontinue its use. So, I mean, the time to make a decision on this is actually now. I don't want to wait to the last second to do this and stuff.
The other thing you got to keep in mind also is right now we have 300 and roughly 4,500 boxes. Those are ours. What do we do with them? Plus, until we make a decision, we still, within village ordinance, have to mandate that any new businesses come in, go to the Caltron until we decide what to do also. Here we go again. What do we do with those boxes? Those boxes are $1,400 a piece. They are not all paid off yet.
We need an exit strategy. Otherwise, here's where everybody gets trapped. We've been kicking, you know, this one for a little bit, and all of a sudden these contracts have automatic 3-year renewals. So if you don't do anything about it now, you're signed up for another 3 years.
And then definitely a couple of the drawbacks with this current arrangement is with Caltron doing all of the billing, like you said, we don't have the records of who owes what within our system. The other side of it is Caltron's getting their money every month no matter what, because we're cutting a check to them for their monthly fees.
We pay for the maintenance and them to provide the billing. We
So
collect.
they're getting their money from us. We're
Correct.
not necessarily getting
For them
our
doing
money.
their job.
And, you know, we're buying the boxes up front, whether we ever get reimbursed for them or not.
It takes almost 2.5 years to get reimbursed for each box, yes. It was a little bit shorter until we lowered the price. We do have a better control on it now than we have in the past.
But how many resources are we throwing at that?
One, my part-time secretary, she works with Cross Points. She gets the reports every 3 months, which before, when they used to come to the village, they sat somewhere for 4 years. And the only other resource that, if it has to, is one of my inspectors issues a municipal violation, and one of my inspectors is always in housing court anyway, MVA court also, because of other violations with annual inspections anyway. So the resources on our side really aren't that much. not what they were. One of my firefighters had to spend a lot of time to get everything organized. That's organized. Now we pass it over to our part-time secretary.
Right.
And she maintains it, and she maintains constant contact with CrossPoints, who is our vendor for Keltron.
Well, can CrossPoints put together a summary report of how many boxes we have and which ones are paid in full and which ones are still have payments due? So we
Yeah, I
have an
just
idea
sent that out
of
not
where
that
we're
long
still-
ago, how many boxes are still owed.
I understand, but you, out of those 345,
Yes.
they're not, are those 100% paid off?
Not all of them, no, I did send a breakdown to the trustees, which ones were still over the last 2 years, yes.
We actually got that about a month or so ago,
Yeah.
Tom, right?
But we're also into the cycle now where we're maintaining, we're repairing those.
Only very few. We've only had 5 or 6 out of the 300 and something we've had to do some repairs.
But it's an aging system.
It's an aging system. Nobody knows what the time frame is, how long they're going to last.
Right.
But what does make it better, and I think I included it in the email, is the stronger the system, the less maintenance with it, because it's a stronger, I don't know.
Well, it's a mesh network. So therefore, if one of those fails, the other one picks those up.
Correct.
Right. But still, it's an aging system.
Absolutely.
We're talking about a 3-year turnaround on the acquisition and payoff of the boxes. If we're going to start replacing those or maintaining them, we're going to be back into that cycle again.
Most of our repairs so far has been components inside, which only amounts to maybe $150, $200 worth of components so far. We haven't had no total catastrophic failure of any box at this time. Just local components inside. So, again, I don't know how long that's going to last.
Right. And the system went effective 2006, 2007?
I believe around 2007, 2008, somewhere right around there.
So we're 10 years now.
10 years
Correct.
in, we could be looking at
Absolutely.
rapid failure, and then we're talking, $1,500 a piece to start replacing them,
Mm-hmm.
which again, all comes out of our pocket up front.
So I guess the question is, do we want to do anything about it this time? I mean, certainly this is your fire committee decision. The fire committee should be talking about this. I'm just moderating the conversation and bringing up what I'm looking at and so forth then too, especially, like I said, I have a business owner reaching out to me trying to sell a business with another one waiting to move in. And, this where these kind of things come across your desk, that kind of thing. It's not like we're delving into this all day long, especially like the chief said, where you've got a secretary overseeing this kind of thing then too, so.
And you're going to have people that are going to want to stay with it. Realistically, we have very few complaints about our Caltron system.
Mm-hmm.
Most people love it because it's immediate. It's within us. We maintain it. They don't have to pay for the service. It's part of what their rental agreement is. And some people feel that they'd rather have their own service, and whether it's cheaper, and it's like anything else, you get what you pay for, and it's totally true with that as well.
Oh, I'm sure, Chief. I mean, I bet you'll see over half these people, even if they're offered an option, they're probably going to stay with
Right.
it, yeah.
And that's the other thing we have to look at
It's not broke, I'm
also
not
is
fixing it, that's all. So
what are we going to do if they do want to stay with the system?
they deal with whoever the vendor is then, right? That's all. So,
Because on the other side of it as well, now, and especially going back to this business, I mean, okay, we have a renewing 3-year contract with CrossPoint. What kind of contract do these businesses have with us?
It's the same contract that we have. We have them sign a contract before they install the box, and I can get you a copy of the contract, what it says.
Well, I'm just thinking, in terms to this specific business, if they haven't paid a bill in 6 years, at some point, they should have also been up for renewal of their contract, and we failed miserably somewhere along the line.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if there was a recurring or how it's listed on there. I don't know. I'd have to look at it, but I can provide a copy of the contract issues. I can send you that and see what it states as well.
all right.
And again, and I brought up, a couple years ago we had this conversation and I don't know why nothing's ever been done before, but they sign a legal binding contract to the village, and you can see by the list that you have how many of them have broke them, why we've never gone after them through the legal system to recoup that and, incur interest and everything else. And in the contract, it states that we can incur interest. Why we haven't done that, I don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I've been here for a year, and, it's, as I lift up a layer every time, I'm doing what I can to ratify things, but all of a sudden you come across a few of these here, and like I know, Chief, you want to, at some point, maybe suspend business licenses and whatnot, and I can't suspend a business license without having a hearing first.
Correct.
And you have to give everybody a due process. But now all of a sudden, I'm going to line some people up and tell them, well, you owe me all this money, and then they're going to go, well, there was, the previous administration did nothing about it and all that kind of thing too, or whatever. There might have been something suggested. I can't speak to that. All I can look at is what I'm looking at now, and simply put, I just think it's more work than, I think sometimes our professional hours are spent better prioritizing what we need to work on, being whatever our professional job is here and so forth then too. I just think taking on some of the alarm aspect of this, I think we're just adding layers of more responsibility than we need. In other words, especially, like I said, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation if I was the one doing the invoicing and the collecting. But because I'm not even in the mix, or I should say we are not in the mix, it pulls us out of the circle. And now we're just stuck playing collector all of a sudden then too. And again, if they're doing all the billing and collecting, how come they're not stepping on somebody's foot to get paid?
Because then they'd be the ones who were able to collect the whole 100% of what's owed on the boxes.
That's what I mean. We're the third party here. They are, but I feel like we are. In most cases, when you don't pay for whatever services, they have if I don't make my car payment this month and stuff, well, guaranteed somebody's going to reach out to a collection agency, or if you don't pay the hospital or whatever. But they're not doing that for us, and they're just making us look like the bad guy here.
Right. Again, I'm not the legal person or whatever, but their contract with us states that they're only responsible for the maintenance part of it and collecting the building from them. It's still our system. It's not their system.
But that's my point, and I won't beat the dead horse anymore, but if we were to suspend business licenses and I brought people in here for hearings and all that kind of thing and threaten with this and that, it's like, here I'm like doing the work for that third party.
Absolutely.
And that's the part that, like, my day can be spent better trying to bring in some business or something like that, or helping you guys, whatever.
Yeah, and since we've, incorporated some things, we haven't really had maybe one or two new businesses that we've had issues with since then. Not like we had before. Again, it's something that obviously the board has to weigh out, and whatever it comes to be is whatever it comes to be, and we'll work within the system. So.
All right. So, any trustees, any more questions on that?
We still have an ordinance that requires a business to have some kind of alarm system.
Sure, that's what the chief was just saying.
So if we backed out of this as a village, and certain businesses wanted to keep the Keltron system, would
You're
we
more than
just
welcome to. Yeah.
would we just let them have the boxes that we paid for, or?
I don't know, Chief.
That's something we're going to have to decide to do. The other thing also is right now, the way our ordinance reads, that a business cannot have an automatic renewal of a current alarm system. Let's say that you have a third-party alarm system, and your current contract expires September 1st. You cannot auto-renew it with the current contractor. You have to switch to Keltron. And that's one of the things that we put in several years ago. So if you are going to kibosh this, you need to have a set date, X amount of months in advance. Says, okay, at this time, we are not requiring you to have Keltron. You can keep your old system. Because we have, every month we have people that are switched over. We put 10 boxes in the last month and a half.
Well, that was going to bring me to my next point. We're going to have to reach out to every business that has the Keltron unit.
Well, it's just about all of them.
And let them know that we're doing this.
And not only businesses, but also some apartment buildings and condo buildings as well. It's not just the businesses.
But the reality is that right now, we have a vendor, Crosspoints.
Mm-hmm.
Crosspoints sells us the boxes. They maintain the system. They do the billing. The only thing that we do with Crosspoints is write them a check. So if we were to get out of the alarm system, Crosspoints is the vendor, and they can take over the whole system right then and there. The only thing we have to do is figure out what do we do with the assets that we have, the Caltron boxes.
That's what I was saying. We just need an exit strategy on this.
Right. And the chief had already brought out, as far as the response time is beneficial by having the system. I can appreciate that. All the other things is monetary concern. So up to this point, it hasn't been revenue neutral. It's been a cost to the village. Up to this point, they were facilitating the use of the 911 fund. We no longer have that fund. So now that cost comes out of chief's budget. If it's something he wants to continue to budget for and can justify with regards to that cost, then so be it. My question has always been, is the village of Alsip the right entity to be in the alarm business? There's already companies out there doing that.
I'm agreeing with you. So,
And I don't know that we want to be in the alarm business and or, restrict the business's rights to choose who they want to choose. And, I mean, so from a financial perspective and a headache perspective, on an ongoing cost perspective as well, it's probably in our best interests to get out of it.
And there's other villages and dispatch centers that use, that have direct connect through radio alarms, so we're not just tied to that also. But again, there has to be a very well planned ahead line course of action, what we're going to be doing here. We just can't come in today and say, all right, you know what, we're done with that.
I agree.
We have way too much money invested, way too much time, and way too many businesses that it will affect because the amount of boxes. If we just had 10 boxes, it'd be easy. But we don't. We have, like I said, almost 350 at this point, which is a lot. Some of them are tied to the building owners. Some of them are tied to the businesses. So, again, just a lot of different layers and dimensions that have to be really thought about as well.
well, let's do this then. I mean, I know we got the holiday coming up, so the week gets a little bit broken up, but we need to have this discussion sooner than later. Again, we brought this up a half dozen times in the last few months, and we need to figure something out. So, Chief, even if we sit down, let's come up with some type of, we got to have some sort of dialogue. And I know you're passionate about this. I know you like this product, and I know it's good. As Trustee Dalzell said, I agree. It's been a good product, but I just, like I said, I get frustrated when I see bills that are so outdated. I can't even collect on these. I just got this. And from the side of the desk I sit on, I'm totally, I'm responsible for making this right. But this took a life before I got here, and I want to do something right. Now I got to sit here and play hardball with some businesses and potentially threaten their existence, and all over something that just took a life of its own. So I want to make this. We got to do something right here. So
the unfortunate part is it should not have sat for that long with nobody doing anything about it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Plain and simple.
I'm trying to get some resolve.
Yep.
I'm just trying to figure this out and how we get through this. All right. One last thing too. Last week I was bored, so sometimes those things are hard to come up with. Chief, I've still got a pending invoice here from this is over since July. Was presented for 9 wind shirts that you get probably with your 3 new hires.
Wind shirts? Yeah.
Okay. So
jackets.
The
It
trustee.
doesn't say jackets, it says wind shirts.
It's a lightweight jacket. It's protect the wind.
Okay, so they had their embroidery, so I'm assuming they had their names on them.
Correct.
These are for probably your 3 new guys?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I see that the committee didn't sign off on this, and that's why I said I'd bring this up, and I apologize. I grabbed this again today because I have a pile ready for each meeting that we have here and stuff. Is this part of their uniform allowance?
Yes.
It is, because you do have an account number on this and stuff then too.
Correct.
So it's $324, and this is part of their uniform allowance.
Correct.
Okay, so because the trustees, I guess we're unsure why this existed. It wasn't part of the other package that you got, because you just bought turnout gear, you bought everything else.
Yeah, we have
This
a
wasn't
long
with it.
list
Yeah.
of equipment that each new person is issued. So they don't have a uniform allowance like X amount of money. We just have one line item that has all of our uniform allowance, and then we also have a separate line item that's under the safety equipment. That's where their turnout gear comes from.
Okay, because certainly I want to get this vendor paid, and like I said, that I couldn't get signatures, I got mine on here, but is the committee good with this? I mean, because we got to pay this bill.
Yeah, we need to
Do
pay.
the men have this equipment already?
I believe that they have it, yes.
Okay. All right, I'll give this back to the committee to
Okay,
approve.
thank you.
Anything else on fire, folks?
Nothing further.
No? Okay. Thanks, Chief. Police committee report, trustee McGrail.
I have first a request to purchase 3 police vehicles from Curie Motors for a total cost of $88,692, which will be $29,564 each. Cost was budgeted for and includes a 5-year extended warranty. Other quotes received were $29,880 per car from Terry Ford and Sutton Ford for $30,901.62 per car. Orders for police vehicles need to be placed by September of 2018, as Ford will be closing the plant for retooling, and production will not resume until February of 19. I also have a request to enter into a 1-year contract with Tactical Media for professional services related to maintaining and building our social media pages, which include but are not limited to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Response and interacts with citizens in regards to questions, comments, and concerns. Will also assist IT with content for the police department website, as well as media and social media training for both command staff and patrol officers. Cost, which was budgeted for, is $1,450 per month, and it's a 1-year contract. The third thing I have here is a request for permission to post for 1 part-time support service supervisor. The position was discussed at length and granted during the last budget hearing. Miss typo there. Initially, we requested and were approved for a full-time position. Upon discussing the position with the command staff and a willingness to try and to save cost, we have elected to attempt to accomplish the goal by having a civilian in charge of services utilizing a part-time employee. This person will work an average of approximately 25 hours per week. Hourly wage is still to be determined with HR, and the position was budgeted for. A rough draft of the job description is included in the board packet. And request for permission to purchase 1 use of force simulator trainer with add-on components, with firearms, ASP, taser, and OC spray in the amount of $34,305 from TI Training. Is that right? TI Training. Thank you. Other estimates include Megit Systems for $35,399.87, which only included the firearms, and from Vitra for $47,021.53. The purchase was budgeted for and approved by the Department of Justice as an allowable expense, utilizing our federal assist forfeiture funds. No taxpayer money. And I also have 2 letters of recognition that I'll read into the record next week.
Any questions, trustees, on anything?
I was just going to say, just for clarification, just because the line item wasn't stricken from the budget does not mean the position was approved. It just means we didn't take the money out.
That's what I'm asking for. No.
No, but it's just the way it read here, the position was approved. And I'm like, no, it was.
I'm cutting you a deal here. Let's.
No, but one of the things that I think we have to be very careful with, because the clerical staff within the police department is part of the ESNA union, so we have to make sure that whatever rate of pay is established is in lines with the union guidelines.
It's a non-union position.
It's non-union and it's a supervisory role.
But it's only part-time, so how do we justify making it supervisory?
They're in charge of their own little department within my department, so.
I think based upon the position description,
Which we don't have.
it was.
It's in the
packet.
board
In there?
packet.
Okay. Didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm having trouble.
Chief, just curious, would, like, any of the radio operators that were here before, would any of them be eligible for a position?
I believe
They would be eligible. I don't know what the interest level is anymore at this point.
they're on extra.
Yeah, plus I don't think that the ones that are retired can't work for an IMRF agency, right?
I don't believe so. Because it would do something with their pension.
Right.
Trustee,
We can review
do you have
the,
the job description in front of you?
It's right here.
Yeah, I think I have it here, too. Yeah, I have it here.
There's 7 job functions.
I have it here. Does you want to see it?
You're probably in the wrong packet.
Right. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee McGraw.
You're welcome.
No.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Did you find it? You wanted to see this, Trustee McLaughlin?
Oh, I found it.
Okay.
Anyone have any other questions on this? No problem. I was certainly, it's your committee, there was a lot on there, that's all. So as long as everybody's okay with that, that's fine. The,
If everyone can read it, and if they have any questions, let us know before next week.
all right, then we'll move forward then with the reports. The Public Works and Boat Launch Committee, Trustee Juarez.
I have a request for approval to go to the Southwest Conference of Mayor's Joint Municipal Auction with the following vehicles. 1 1992 VME L70 front end loader. 1 2004 Ford F450 dump truck with a snowplow and salt spreader. 1 2001 International 4900 dump truck with a snowplow and salt spreader. And 1 2006 Travel Trailer 30 BHE Wanderer. That's all, Mayor.
So Mike, that last item, the Wanderer, that's the camper? Okay, that's the camper we now, and just so everybody knows, when's the last time we used that camper, Mike? It's been parked at Firehouse 1. Okay. And these were actually, we attained these through Homeland Security? Is that how that happened? Okay.
Purchased both of them. One was used, it's still currently,
Yeah, you guys use yours kind of pretty often, yeah.
was just purchased for special events.
Right. Are there any covenants that we need to be aware of? Is there any kind of agreement or contract or anything like that with Homeland? I just saw this now.
And I believe this department would have paperwork on it.
Is there a title, chief, do you know, or anything like that?
You're asking the wrong chief, but I'll look tomorrow.
Okay, I understand. And let's make sure we cover all of our bases, guys, before we bring that thing out there and also, you know, and I know we got titles to all those trucks and so forth then, too. Mike, you've got no more use, I mean, these trucks are done. I don't want to use the word done, especially when they go into auction. They need some work probably, right?
Correct. Yeah, it's like a set of report, it's just no longer economically feasible to try to maintain these things. They want, it's value to them.
Right.
Which is why bringing them to auction can benefit us. As we've done in the past, we've done quite well with the vehicles that we submitted in this auction.
So last month, I went over, there was a municipal auction over at America's Auction in Crestwood. I visited that just, I want to compare, because last year, you and I and Danny Triben went to the Orland Park one here last year, and there was nothing there we had any interest in. We wanted to see what they had. I went over to Crestwoods, and it was similar. I mean, they had a lot of used squad cars, mostly Explorers and so forth. And there was a couple of dump trucks that I could tell needed some work and stuff, just looking at them. Certainly, America's Auction and Crestwood asked if they could facilitate the same thing for us. I appreciate going through Southwest Conference of Mayors. When's the last time we used them for an auction? Anything recent?
So we submitted a smaller dump truck, a one-ton dump truck.
Okay.
And a Ford F-350 pickup truck, and one of our old brush chippers, wood chippers, and we ended up receiving $37,000.
Nice. Okay. Good. You felt pretty confident with what we got on the return on that? Okay. I know they get a good. Right. I know they get a good crowd out there to Orland Park for these too. We're in the maintenance garage, so great. So obviously, Trustee Juarez, if you would please even get that on the agenda for next week, that'd be great. Okay.
And we'll also need an ordinance authorizing the asset disposal to coincide with this.
Absolutely. We do that all the time, right?
Template for that, which I'll submit for next week.
Right. Thank you. The Building Committee, Trustee Zelinski.
I have a discussion to approve construction of a garage at 11700 Kaminsky to replace an existing garage located at the property line due to the location of the sewer line. That's all I have under building.
I don't have anybody from building tonight here. Okay. I did hear back and forth on this. Oh, there you go. Hey, Stan.
I spoke to the owners of that property.
Yeah.
They want to, their garage is old and they want to put a new one, but they have an existing water line that goes behind the garage, and I referred that to Commissioner Triben, and he met that with them, and before us coming up as a variance for the garage.
So are we?
The garage is not yet made any bigger or anything, they're just replacing the old.
So he's going to drop it on the same footprint that he is right now, right? In the same location? That's where I had our part-time inspector, Jim Smith, because obviously Roger Early's out temporarily, but I had a couple of our guys, I wanted them to look at that again. I know we try to always identify with things as far as setback is concerned, but in that guy's case, yeah, we couldn't bury a water line, no less, again, the way that's always something to consider too, and this is much like why we're...
Too much to go back.
Exactly.
They can go get away with less.
Yeah, I mean, the language today isn't always conducive to what was. I mean, especially when you have an older community, and your garage is near a sidewalk, but yet your house is set back 12 feet or whatever the case may be. You can't just slide a garage back 12 feet and all of a sudden, well, what just happened to the windows behind my house? You know, that kind of thing. You know, I mean, the language just doesn't fit. And I think we need to look at things on a one-by-one basis all the time to see what's correct, what's the right course of action. So, Stan, thanks for doing that. Thank you. I know we're a little shorthanded in building right now with a guy out and everything yet too. So, the Water and Sewer Report, Trustee Dalzell.
No report, Mayor.
The License Committee, Trustee Juarez.
I have a presentation of a list of licenses dated August 13th through the 24th, 2018. That's all, Mayor.
All right. The Economic Development Committee, Trustee Murphy.
No report, Mayor, tonight, but however, I did meet with Shanae Hunter of Human Resources this week. We had some great conversation. I know it's my first week here. We did a lot of meetings in the office. Also, I met with Brian Massery of IT. He was very gracious to help me set up email, and also met with Kent Alvelton in the accounting department, who was, again, very gracious with his time, getting me acclimated with the village finances. So thank you to all of you. Appreciate that for opening your offices to me. I will be setting up committee meetings moving forward. And my extension is 371, so that's all I have.
Very good. Also, just under economic development, just so everyone knows, we're doing well with the tear down of the old car wash on Pulaski.
Lots of positive feedback on Facebook
Yeah,
from
good,
lots of Alsip.
good. And, you know, I tell you, one of the small challenges there, too, is the grade on that, it goes up substantially. I mean, you don't see it from the street. That thing's built up about 2 feet, and that's where the big challenge is, too, that they got to take so much concrete out of that thing for drainage purposes and everything, too. When you pull into a car wash, you know, obviously you got to have water runoff and everything. That's what they're doing right now, is they're taking up the ground. When they're done, we want to see an all-gravel parking lot, basically just a gravel pad when they're done. Mike Freder and I went out there Friday night and just put up some temporary snow fence where the gap in the fence went to Edka's. And Mike, you got fence, you said tomorrow you're going to have the guys patch it up? So this way we'll secure Edka's lot correctly. And then all the blue pipe that's out there right now, that's all staging for the new water main that's going to go down Pulaski. That work is starting right now. That work is actually going to go at Dan Tribin. He had a family issue he had to take care of tonight. But he just told me that work's going to go probably till the first or second week in November. It's pretty extensive work. They're going from 117th Street all the way down to 120th Street. So this, and they are going to directionally bore under 119th Street. So I thought we'd have some real tie-ups there, but they're going under the street on 119th. So it'll be interesting when they run all that pipe. But that's what everybody's seen out there. All that blue pipe is for they're staging for that. And then once they get done with the car wash, they're going to move down the road to the house on 120th Place. That's coming down next. So for anybody interested, we haven't forgot about that property. It's just one we wanted to do one after the other, that's all. So, and we can't have a crane running up and down the street. So, yeah. Becky took down a wall over there or something like that. You know, that's what happens. You send her out to check on some equipment. I saw a picture of you running the bulldozer, giving it a good crack one time, you know, so that's all right. You know. So, and then we'll finish with the plan and zoning. Trustee Zelinski?
We have a discussion regarding zoning to allow a tattoo studio that was proposed by a resident in the business district.
You know, Trustee, another reason I put that back on is sometimes you have discussion on a topic like that, and it didn't really go anywhere last week. Nobody was really prepared for that conversation. And we've never had a tattoo studio in this village before, that I know of anyway, unless anybody else does.
Did you look into the ordinance that he was referring to? And are we going to go with the state on that?
Well, I did do some homework on it, and first off, and when comparatively, when you talk about other communities around there that do allow tattoo establishments, Crestwood's got 5, Midlothian's got 5, Oak Forest has 4, Tinley's got none, Orland's got none, Palos Park has none, Palos Heights has none, Worth has 1, Chicago Ridge has 3, Oak Lawn doesn't have any, and Blue Island has 2 establishments. And then only thing online that you see in Chicago, there was 9. I would think there'd be 90, but you know, for some reason, only 9 show up online. So maybe those are better business approved. I don't know. But currently, I guess in our current ordinance, and this goes back to 2008, the provision in here that is certainly the provision that doesn't allow the tattoo parlors would be any cosmetic service involving puncturing of the human skin, including but not limited to ear piercing, skin graphics, hair transplants, and etc., without the direct supervision of a licensed medical doctor present. That's part of, actually, it's not necessarily, well, this is an ordinance, and pertains to the B1 business district to have it then, too. And it's kind of funny when you think about even the way this is written, even a hair transplant, you know, I mean, you see organizations like that all the time. They're advertised on TV all day long, but here in the village of Alsip, we're not allowing it because we're saying you need a licensed medical doctor present to do so. In many of the other communities, certainly they're not doing that. And according to the Illinois Department of Public Health, and certainly anybody can look this information up, the Tattoo and Body Piercing Establishment Registration Act, which is number 410 ILCS 54, became effective July 1st, 2007. So this is a year before we passed our ordinance. and none of us, at least I wasn't on the board at the time, but the Illinois Department of Public Health's Body Code, ART Code, which is number 77 ILL, Administrative Code number 797, became effective December 26, 2008. The code the code specifies the standard for the conduct of body art procedures, sets of standards for the process by which the department and its delegate agencies inspect and register body art establishments, and sets the fee requirements. And so basically all establishments providing body art services such as tattooing, piercing, branding, or scarification are required to be registered with the Department of Public Health. Upon receipt of a completed registration application, an inspection is conducted to monitor compliance with the program. Renewal inspections are conducted periodically. Certified local health departments make contact with the department to conduct their own inspections in their jurisdictions. And actually, they do offer, even online, they've got body art establishment registrations with their fees associated. They've got all of the body art established registration application requires an applicants to submit copies of operation procedures, establishment for a floor plan, aftercare instructions, and only if piercing procedures are available for minors, or if a parent needs parental consent form needs to be done as well then too. But they ask for floor plans of everything, and then they've got a body art legal base too, so there's actually a complete list of requirements for them as well. So their restrictions don't seem to include what we did. You know, we took it one step further, but theirs do not. And for conversation, if, you know, certainly I'll make copies of this and email to all the trustees and so forth, but, you know, when you don't allow this particular type of business, which is, I've never participated in, but a lot of people have, doesn't mean it's a bad one. You know, I mean, it's something, you know, body art these days, tattoos, many people have them, and it might, I'm thinking because this provision is why we don't have them in this town, but this is certainly a conversation for the board. You know, if this is what you do, is promote policies, and should the board decide to promote this, then that's what we do.
I think it'd be prudent to ask the attorney about whatever ordinance would be required, and then that way we'd have at least up to date, and then just bring it forth with that.
Sure, and that's what I'll do. And like I said, I got most of all this. I had a real busy week last week, but I got most of all this today, and within about 10 minutes, a lot of this is available online and so forth then too.
I can't imagine that a body piercing establishment could possibly be profitable if they had a licensed medical doctor on staff.
Which is why that's what I'm saying. Sometimes you can do we are a home ruled community, so a lot of times you can take things to the next level, and maybe just make the conditions a little more strict. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing to do either.
Yeah, it sounds like a deterrent.
This is language from 10 years ago, so it's something worth at least looking at and deciding if we want to allow that to happen. You know, you're not going to get. You know, sometimes you can even cap those numbers too. If you said, I don't want any more than 2 or 3 of these in town, that's always a nice provision to have as well too. This way it doesn't take a life of its own in that capacity.
Well, is it something we should potentially refer to planning and zoning for review and recommendation?
I don't think you have to. I think it's already been discussed. It's in a B1 district as far as that goes. I think as far as
Right now it's prohibited, so that's what I'm saying. If we turn it over to them and let them hold a public hearing and come back with a recommendation,
what would they do?
Their job?
Well, doing what though?
That's what they do. They hold.
I mean, in other words, you want to lease a space like over where this gentleman did. He was an Alsip resident. He wants to go in that strip space just east of the Doubletree Hotel over there in the 5000 block of 127th Street. So I'm not sure where planning and zoning would come into play with that, though.
Well, I mean, at this point in time, based on our rules and regulations, they're not allowed. So they can want to come in, but they can't.
That would be ordinance and legislation.
Well, and then all I'm saying is that we let planning and zoning, it's their job to evaluate our ordinances related to those areas, we let them come back with a recommendation as to, does this make sense? Do we structure it with so many?
Well, what if they did, I'm just giving a hypothetical, what if they did have a medical doctor available?
Well, then they meet the rules as they stand. Don't understand the question.
I'm just saying, like, in other words, where would the plan and zoning have a change in it? If they had if they met all the compliance that we had right now, what would change?
And I'm talking about not specific to that business, I'm talking about coming up with a composite revised ordinance that would address whatever, concerns there might be about
Yeah,
allowing
'cause
this type
I
of
think it'd be hard to
business.
say, we're only going to designate, well, whatever, and it's for another discussion, but to say that we're only going to let them be in certain neighborhoods or whatever, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where we can go with that conversation.
But, I mean, we do have those kinds of rules in place related to adult entertainment establishments.
Right, but that's a
So-
B2, that's not a
But-
B1.
Well, and it's more than just that, because when they did that whole plan, they segmented out that specific industry for a certain section of town, which was, I think, 129th and Pulaski.
Off the beaten path, out of sight,
Right.
out of mind.
And that was through that whole global plan. Pardon me, I forgot the name of what it was, but there was a complete plan that had been done, comprehensive plan.
Right. All right, special committee reports, village properties, trustee McGlohan.
Under Village Properties, I have a request for approval to go out to bid for driveway seal coating for both Heritage 1 and Heritage 2. I also have a request for approval to go out to bid for the replacement of carpet in the hallways at both Heritage 1 and Heritage 2. And finally, I have a request for approval to go out to bid for the replacement of the 35-ton carrier unit air conditioner for the police department. They make them happy, because that one's been failing.
A little bit.
And that's all I have under Village Properties.
All right, the insurance committee, trustee McGrill.
I have, for discussion from the fire department, a request for us to consider to join Tactical Athletic, which is a third-party program who works with the workman's comp carrier. They specialize in accelerated treatment plans for police, fire, and public works employees to get back to work sooner. So we weren't very familiar with this, so Shanae, can you tell us what you found out about it?
Hello. So I did some research with the Tactical Athlete Program, as well as I spoke with the rep there. So as she stated, it is a third-party program in which they work with your injured employee to try to get them to work quicker. However, their selling tactic is that they specialize in, doctors who specialize with firemen and policemen and public works. So Tom did bring this to me as an option. It is $98.20 per employee per year. I did some research as far as with our workers' comp carrier, is it someone that they have experience in working with? They told me no, the program was too new, they don't have any experience with working with them. I've also met with some local HR folks in the surrounding municipalities, asked them about it as well. They were not familiar with it either. I guess from my personal perspective, looking at it from an HR standpoint, I can see some benefits behind having a program as this, but I will say that I did find some disadvantages, such as the program, they're not in our area yet. They're not in our local area, so you don't know what the, amount of doctors or the access of doctors that you will have access to until after you contract with them. I don't like that idea. Because, again, if we have someone who's injured, I would hate for them to have to go to North Chicago or downtown because that's the local person that they found. I would still like for our people to have individualized care that's in the local area that they can get to.
Now, quick question. Wouldn't it be in the workers' comp carrier's best interests to also get the employees back to work as quickly as possible?
Exactly, and essentially it kind of seems like a double fold because that's what the workers' comp carriers should be doing.
initially. And I think with myself working along with the workers' comp carriers, I think we can accomplish that.
And because we have the accident review board also, and we have been doing this with workman's comp.
Yes,
And
but
I don't see that we have a problem with getting them back to work, and it's such a new program with unknown things that you
Well, I
tried to
think
find
one
out
of the
for us.
issues in speaking with one of the firemen was that the testing and the diagnosis part is taking too long with the workers' comp. But again, just with myself, that'll be me staying on top of it and
Right.
making sure that it's being implemented and it's being expedited.
Would this be like a supplement to physical therapy, or do you have any numbers as far as
It's
how that would compare?
not just physical therapy. It's anything from diagnostic. It could be an MRI, X-ray testing, physical therapy. It's all of that. It's supposed to, again, expedite it. I'm not taking away from the credit of the program, but again, it seems like
As I say, just from reading the pamphlet, it just looks like they're a paid go-between. To help
I didn't
speed
wanna
up the
say that,
process.
but yeah.
I mean, they don't actually do any services other than play go-between.
it's think of it more of, I would say more of like that concierge service. You're paying a little extra more and you're getting a bit more attention. Any other questions?
Would we get a discount with workman's comp?
I don't think so.
not
They
if the
didn't
workers'
say
comp company
anything in
hasn't heard of
regards to
them.
that, but again, overall, he's just like, hey, we've never worked with it before. It's too new. We're still learning about it. And they didn't offer any incentives for us joining at the time.
So we're not going to have this supplement like our loss prevention right now. I mean, we do have light-duty programs here now and so forth.
Right. But again, that's something that we can all work on getting better at as far as putting together a more formalized light-duty program. But again, a program like this, it may work. I don't want to take away from the credit of it. But as of now, I think that it will just be my job and workers' comp as our carriers, our jobs to be on top of it and expedite those services.
Okay. Also, as long as you're up here too, I know you and I met a couple times last week. How are we doing? We want to implement the performance reviews for the employees. Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's under
Thank you.
HR.
Sorry, I'm looking. I'm looking at you. I thought we were doing the other two. So, I tell you what.
Do you want to jump ahead?
Yeah, can we, if trustees don't mind, let's just skip
Out of
ahead
order,
as long as Shanae is standing there. Thank you. Trustee McGrill,
Sure,
if you
under
lead into
HR.
human resource, please.
Yes, we're going to have discussion on possibly implementing formal performance evaluations, and Shanae was kind enough to send out a sample. Any feedback on that or any questions for her?
So I can tell you that the sample that I did provide is just a template, again, something that we can use across each department. So it would be up to the department heads to make sure that they are filling in those department-specific details. We do actually have a performance appraisal policy within our employee handbook that calls for it to be performed annually and any other time as assigned, especially if you may want to do like a probationary performance review. But obviously, again, there's advantages to doing so. You're making sure that you're engaging, managers are engaging with their employees and getting good feedback on their performance, setting metrics, setting goals. So there are obviously advantages to doing so.
I think it's an excellent idea, and each department might have to, customize it a little bit to
Right.
their. Thank you for doing that. Is there any other feedback?
I requested this pretty much right when Shanae came on, but you've been with us 7 months now. In the first 6, you had you're up to your knees in work and so forth on other projects. But now that we've gotten through that, I want to implement this right away and so forth then too. So, okay.
Okay.
I mean, this has always been something every year. I've been a member of the board for 6 years prior as a trustee, and we always said that. We always wanted to have some performance reviews, actually, it really is a benefit to the employees that was never done, at least in the 6 years I was here and so forth on too. So, I mean, we want to start getting this going.
Is this something that we're going to have to send to ASME for review before implementing, even if it's just informational?
I mean, I think we could just to make sure that they're on the same page, but I don't think it will be any conflict of interest because it's not based upon any merits or anything. It's just strictly feedback regarding performance.
Right.
The only thing I would potentially suggest adding is something that we actually do at work, and that would be assigning percentages on the list of responsibilities and expectations. So that way you know if a task is 80% of somebody's job and they fail at that 80%, well then that's a much greater, overall, as opposed to one task where they might have knocked out of the park, but it's a very low percentage, and vice versa. I mean, if you have something on your lists that it was a special project and should have only been potentially 10% of your overall rating, but you don't get that done, you shouldn't be totally knocked down for your overall performance of the year.
And that's why I tried to make it a numeric ranking system in addition to a narrative so that we can make sure that those biases do not exist. Because you just don't want someone ranking a 5. You need to provide details, examples. And so I actually plan to, when we have our managers meeting, if we do approve this, to first review with the managers on how to properly use the form and what they should be doing when they are performing their evaluations.
Do you have that ready that we can have? We have our meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Can we talk about
It'll
that
be
tomorrow?
prepared.
Great. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody questions? All right. Thanks.
Great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're going back to ordinance legislation with Trustee Murphy.
No report, Mayor.
All right. The IT committee, Trustee Dalzell.
We've got Brian Massari to go over some of the things that were in the budget, and specifically the purchase of a sand storage device. Also, if time permits, I'd like to bring up some ideas about strategic plan, most notably the replacement of our telephone system. But sand first.
Okay. Currently our main production sand is running at 90% use of its storage capacity. As our virtual environment continues to grow, the need for more storage is coming near. Storage is being consumed more quickly due to laserfish scanning, which is a positive. File server growth, adding more virtual clients and servers, as well as backing up or replication of this data. A SAN or storage area network offers great reliability and performance when utilized in a virtual environment due to the file transfer protocol it offers. Currently, the village data store consists of one SAN. If a catastrophic failure of this SAN was to occur, downtime would be much longer than if we had a second SAN set up in a unified configuration. I have procured 3 quotes, and the lowest came in at $17,637, of which $54.99 is a 3-year, 24/7 SLA, or service level agreement.
And that was for a
14.4 terabyte edition.
And that was also a used device, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
The lowest quote is. I do have a new one at 23,000.
And my concern is just that for the dollars that we're talking, and especially if we're talking about for archival purposes, it certainly doesn't require the speed that a SAN would
Well, this
provide
isn't for archival. This would be for production.
But yet, in the comments that it was made, it talked about the use of the SAN and how it was getting consumed at a fast rate because of the laserfish.
Well, that's a production server, though. This
Right.
has nothing to do with archival. We're actually running low on production data store right now. So if I want to add, like our laserfish right now is at, I believe, 800 gigabytes of 1 terabyte partition, and I'm going to have to add another terabyte partition onto that production server, which
Right.
means it comes from a production data store.
Right.
production sand, not, we have a Veeam backup server in place that is backing up all of that stuff.
Right.
That's fine. I do have some room there. But in our production environment, we are kind of putting all our eggs in one basket by having one sand feeding, or 20 servers feeding off one sand.
Right.
If we had that second one, that's what sands have the ability to be unified and talk to each other.
Right.
So that easily you kind of just snap in place another sand to give you that expanded storage.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the facility for the redundancy, but it just, as presented, especially with the Laserfish aspect of it, I know that I recently acquired a 120 terabyte disk array, and that's what we use for our archival purposes, and it was a brand new device, significantly less cost.
When you're talking 120 terabytes, Trustee Giselle, and that's a great point. There are two different animals. In a SAN, you have SCSI hard drives that are much more robust than just your SATA hard drives with 2 terabytes on each, whatever SATA drive that costs $300. These drives that are in the SAN are literally, $1,500 a piece, and are very robust. And it's just because it's production. We could break off, like you're saying, I think is what you're saying is, why don't you break off that Laserfish and maybe give it its own storage array,
right,
in maybe a NAS that's much more affordable. We could do that. That's an option for sure.
Yeah.
It's just, it'd be much easier to snap in place just another SAN and kind of keep the way we're going. It's been working.
So the
we're going
purpose
to need
would-
one no matter what.
Yeah, so you're looking for the resiliency aspect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is terabyte one word?
I knew this was coming.
Yeah. Big.
I was making some notes, Brian. I caught half of that, and then you lost me the terabyte and stuff, all right? So, otherwise, I know we did appropriate for this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you said roughly 17,600, something
Yeah,
like
it
that?
was 17 and some change.
Okay,
17.2.
okay. And then, Trustee, did you want to talk about the phone system real quick, too?
Well, it's not in this year's budget. That's one of those things that got kicked down the road, but at some point in time, we need to, certainly as technology is evolving, and God bless Brian for coming and lending his expertise, and he's done so much with actually very little.
Mm-hmm.
So
Appreciate
I applaud that. But I would love to have a 5-year strategic plan of where we're going to go in the future, because some of it, like the phone system, is going to be very costly, and we need to lay in place those things that we're needing.
I
And
agree with you. There's some big things coming down the pipe.
And they are in our capital plan. I will say, though, that in last year's capital, the previous year's capital plan, the phone was in this year's budget, and it didn't actually make it into the budget as part of the process, so that was pushed out 1 year. But just like every department, including IT's portion, is in the 5-year capital plan. So we have gone over that. I will say it's probably worth constantly refreshing it and keeping it new, not just at budget season.
Right.
To make sure, especially in IT, because things do happen that weren't anticipated.
And we've had private discussions about some efficiencies to facilitate cost savings down the road of things that we're presently doing that through technology would be able to do more streamlined, I think, add some level of robustness to it as well. But
And the phone system's a good example of that. We do not use voice over internet protocol, and that might reduce some of our operating costs as well as give us better functionality on it for an investment in that.
as long as it works.
Yeah.
For the record, too, I'm sorry, Brian, you don't, so everyone knows, this is Brian Massari speaking with us. This is our IT manager. Hey, Brian, I don't mean to simplify everything we just spoke about, too, but I have noticed, obviously, this is the whole idea of the SAN is to get more storage, correct? More cloud storage?
Yes, sir. Well,
Now-
not cloud storage, but here on site.
Here rather, right. But will this help us at all? I'm not sure if this is the problem, but one thing Kent and I noticed even a few months ago when we were doing our budget and so forth, now that we're trying to clean up all of our old records, where we've been scanning, we had the kids all summer scanning all the blueprints and everything else because we can't dispose of these. We went digital with all. Is that eating up more of our storage? Because that seems like our computers are running a little slower lately.
Bulk of it, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that we're utilizing our Laserfish like we have been. It's refreshing to see that happening. On the negative side, which is a negative, you're going to gobble up data. I mean, they're scanning in big maps. We have that big line scanner now, and we're not just scanning little documents. We're scanning big drawings, and it's taking up a lot of space.
I swear, Kent and I, we did that budget probably 15 times, and it felt like you're at home when somebody turned on the shower downstairs or something, and it's like, look at this, it just slowed down again. You know, we were watching this the whole time. You know, it was ridiculous. So, but no, I appreciate, like as Trustee Dalzell said, we need more of the storage that you're gonna take care of. So, okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. We'll finish up here then too. We did human resource, health and pollution, Trustee Murphy.
No report, Mayor.
And traffic safety, Trustee Dalzell.
No report, Mayor.
Trustees, again, any presentations, petitions, or communications? One thing I wanted to point out real quick too, I had a meeting just the other day, I think it was Thursday, with Impel Union, who's got the property over at the old McAllister. We have again, unfortunately, our building commissioner is out hurt right now, but we have a situation there where, let's put it this way, it's our building code requires an entire paved lot. But they're telling me they may not need the back lot. They'd be willing to make it a retention area. They'd be willing to grass it, to do anything. And if we were to establish a point where they're not even using that, with a definitive parking system, whatever, something that they can bring a truck back there, they'd be up for it because we can't give them a business license. We haven't given them a business license because they haven't had that lot paved yet. So they met last week with our fire prevention people and so forth, and they approved some interior plans, but they can't do anything with the building until they have a building license, and a business license. I apologize for that particular location. So I'm going to be meeting, actually I'm going to put something together tomorrow, and I'll be talking with department heads. I'll be bringing in building personnel. I'll be talking, Mike, if you can help us at all. I'm going to bring everybody in, and we're going to come to some resolve on what we're going to do, and I'm going to speak with legal on this too. If you're not going to use that area, you know, what do we do with it to progress, that kind of thing then too, because we're holding out for something that might not be necessary. You know, if you're not going to use a certain part of a parking lot, and you grass it, you do whatever you're going to do, you seed it, whatever you're going to do, fine, but let's make it definitive that you're not going to use that property, and I don't know why we're calling for paving if you're not going to use the property. So right now I'm going to talk more with Roger Early. He's still bedside, but he is, I can speak with him. At the same time, I got to get some resolve on the issue where Yaffos is at yet too, and why we don't have a parking lot there. I mean, you know, Asher was here not too long ago, didn't have any documentation with them, but now I find myself having to put myself into this because of the absence of building commissioner. So I just want to let everybody know I'm on top of this. We're going to try and get some resolve on this. So, any unfinished business?
I had a question for Mr. Frater. Did the mosquito abatement happen last Wednesday evening?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I didn't see him back by me, so I don't know.
They actually went past 10 o'clock. They were supposed to be done by 10
Okay.
o'clock, but they did complete by 11:30 p.m. that night.
Wonderful.
And they've been out testing, monitoring from that fogging. I haven't gotten a report back yet.
And then I just wanted to mention in the record a thank you and a happy retirement to Sergeant Durkin, who retires tomorrow.
Right. Any new business? Okay, get a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll adjourn this meeting at 9:01. Have a great evening. Thank you.